success comes to those who are bold and
Mm.
rarely come to the timid who are afraid of the consequences.
Hey guys, this is June. I'm the founder of EasyLaw, and together with me today we have Mr. Jeremy Joseph, who is the partner of the Joseph and Partners, which has one of the largest and most geographically diverse maritime law practices in Malaysia. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for spending our time in our EasyLaw online interview show. So how are you today, Jeremy?
I'm good. Thank you, June. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
It is our pleasure. So Jeremy, I want to ask, what has inspired you to become a lawyer since you were young?
Well, I wouldn't say I was inspired to be a lawyer when I was young. When I was in high school, I was quite keen on medicine because I took an interest in biology in Form 5. And in fact, I was quite interested to do medicine, perhaps even a cardiac surgeon, that kind of
Wow,
thing.
so specialized.
Yes, because when I was studying biology, I was quite interested in the heart, and so I used to visualize myself being a cardiac surgeon or whatever. So it's just a teenage dream. But then I saw my SPM grades, and I realized that maths was not very good for me, and that's when my dreams were dashed for being a doctor. So I was still not sure until my mother told me, why don't you do law? So
Mm.
that's when I started to embark on my law studies.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, usually for Asians, our parents always want us to become either of one, doctor and lawyer. So you wanted to become a doctor, but then your mom, after that, because of the maths in SPM, you become a lawyer instead.
Correct. Usually, it's not always the case, but
Mm.
for the time I find that those who are not very good at maths tend to end up doing law or some other art subjects.
Okay, that's a fun. That's a fun one. So I want to ask, because there are so many different area of practices in law, right? So
Yes,
you are specialized in maritime law practices. Like, how did you pick this niche and area of practice? Like, how do you come up with this?
sure. Um, okay, at 19 or 20, I was in the UK studying, and it is not often the case that shipping law, international trade law are offered at undergraduate level. All right. So
Mm.
in my case, it was a subject taught at undergraduate level. I took on that module or that elective, and I found it very interesting, especially the international aspects of law, maritime law. I mean,
Mm.
maritime law really is a subset or is a genus of commercial law. It's just one part of commercial law, but it's
Mm.
very international in its content and its nature. So I found that quite fascinating. The lecturer at that time also was someone who quite inspiring in that way. So I took an interest at that stage. Um, then when I came back after obtaining my law degree, I was quite young when I got my law degree. I got my degree just before my 21st birthday. And
Really? So early.
yeah,
So right after
it was a
SPM,
bit of a
you fly
fast
to
track
UK?
time. Sorry?
Right after SPM, you fly to the UK?
No, I did a diploma in law.
Okay.
Most people do A levels. Uh, but I did the diploma, so it was a bit of a faster track route. So I was able to get my degree ultimate. I mean, my birthday is in November, so I graduated in July, so of that year, 94. So anyway, I was quite interested in maritime, and the other reason is also, you know, when you think about it, historically,
Mm.
Malaysia, we are placed in a very nice geographical trade route. If you look at
Mm.
why the Portuguese came, why the Dutch, why the British came, we are positioned well in the trade route, the busiest trade route in the world, Straits of Malacca. And so there's a lot of things happening in this part of the world. And I figured that um, for this area of law, there are not many people. So there is a demand
Mm.
for legal services in this area of law. So that got me quite keen on on that. I didn't want to just do a general area of law. And I wanted to specialize. But I specialized in a fairly young age. To do that, I didn't really take the traditional route of doing your CLP or bar after your degree. I worked in the marine insurance industry for a few years, got some exposure, met people in the industry, understood how the marine insurance world works, how the shipping world works. Then eventually I circled back to doing my CLP and then eventually qualifying as a lawyer.
Yeah, like your journey is one of the most interesting journey that I've seen because usually they will go for the traditional route where after degree they will get the CLP and then that's where they will start picking. But then from yours, you were very clear at the very beginning, this is what you want to do. Yeah,
Yes.
that's very interesting. So so far from your journey, what are the biggest challenge you have faced so far during your practice or managing your firm, and how did you overcome the challenges?
Well, I was very fortunate at a young age of between the age of 21 to 30. I went on a pretty fast track route in my career, my studies, everything. Whilst a lot of my friends were maybe still finding their place in the world, I was quite determined and focused and ambitious. I really felt I knew what I wanted to do in life. So in many ways, a lot of doors open for me. I got a job in a very good law firm in Singapore. Um, I got exposure at an early age in maritime law, and by the age of 30, which was around the time when I got married, I was already a partner in a firm.
Wow.
So yeah, and I was already given responsibilities to run a practice as an associate practice for a Singapore firm. So that part of it was the good part of it. But the thing is that you asked about challenges. The downside to that is when you rise up the ranks too quickly, you don't have enough experience also, to handle maybe big and complex cases, difficult or tough opponents, things like that. So, and I didn't have a mentor because I was in Malaysia. I was an associate practice. I didn't have anyone I could go to a senior partner and say, can you check this draft? Can you check that? Can you, what do I learn? Who do I learn from? All I didn't. So I actually had to learn everything through trial and error. So that was very challenging. I a lot of times I learned it the hard way. And so, in that sense, that was one challenge. Another challenge I would say is at the age of 38, I set up my own legal firm together with my wife. We started off with nothing, no no big savings or anything like that. Literally just a small amount of money just to pay for a deposit for a rental of an office space, and really nothing but the hope and expectation that everything is going to be fine. And so, just like anyone starting off, we had to. Some of the challenges in doing that is you have to manage cash flow. You have to manage your finances well. There were seasons of feasting and there were seasons of famine. So those things we went through, but overcoming it, I would say, well, generally, I would say from a personal standpoint, I overcame through prayer. I spent a lot of time in prayer. That's how I overcame my challenges, and also the determination to succeed. When you have the will and the determination that failure is not an option, you just don't look at something as that's it, it's time to fold up and give up. No, you have to overcome it. But I think generally from a maybe from a personal development standpoint, I would say one ethic that I carried with me is maybe to put others um, ahead of yourself or put others above yourself. That mentality, I believe that when I practice that, it's one thing to know it in your head, but to actually practice it, like pay others their salaries first, even if you don't have anything, others must be paid on time. Make sure that bills are paid on time, even if you don't have any, to have that kind of mindset and mentality, and to practice it constantly as a daily habit, that actually became quite rewarding for me in the end, because I found that a lot of credibility, trust, integrity was built in, and people started to maybe trust me more, maybe felt that I could be, some of the smaller things that they could trust me in. Eventually, I was being able to be entrusted with bigger things.
I love that. I love that. I think just now what you said is very true. Failure is not an option. And also the daily habits and daily activities is where it brings up to who we are today. Like really, really golden sharing by Jeremy. So it's really interesting to know your journey. Like under your leadership, I saw that Joseph and Partners has won the prestigious ALB Malaysia Law Awards for Shipping Law Firm of the Year, hosted by ASEAN Legal Business ALB, as well as Thomson Reuters for 3 years in a row. So can I know your top advice that you have for all the young lawyers who want to learn from you?
Okay, top advice. I would say I have maybe a few things to say. It's not just one
Sure.
top thing.
Sure.
I would say that, look, when you're talking about young people, I think we need to recognize that not everybody has the same degree of talent and skill, or even knowledge. Okay, some may come from a strong academic background, others an average academic background, and others may have been to prestigious universities, and others maybe not so. Maybe those who have got very capable skills, and others maybe they're still finding their way. So not everyone is actually coming into the mix with the same degree of knowledge, talent, and skill. All right. But one thing that makes the huge difference, I think, is to strive for excellence. I think if a person, no matter where they come from or what level of how they start, but if they carry in themselves the attitude that they want to strive for excellence. Excellence, by the way, is not a case where you need to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. Sometimes being perfectionist is a bad thing. In fact,
Yes.
for most part, it is. But excellence basically means going the extra mile, doing your best. That means something is being given to you and you give your best into it, your heart into it. You're really giving your best. That means not half-baked, slipshod, just sort of like maybe you could have done better, but you didn't, you withheld, or maybe you're too lazy, or maybe you didn't want to put enough time or priority into it. Those are the things that you have to be careful. But if you strive for excellence, that means you have that attitude that I want to give my best. My boss is giving me something, I'm going to give my best into it. And this is a constant thing that you're doing. I think that is a very big plus point for a young lawyer, because that can actually overshadow a lot of other maybe inadequacies or other things that young person may have. Okay, but striving for that excellence is a big deal. Okay, especially in this day and age, where to be honest, and I say this respectfully, a lot of young people may not may not have that, because you see, we live in a digital age where everything is given on a instant, spoon fed from the phone, this and that. So not how much of work is put in to read and gain the knowledge in books, through books. How many people actually read the newspaper to know what's going on in the world? How many people actually read the law journals? So everything is like bite size and instant mix type of stuff. So the idea of really giving your best into something is not there, especially if you're spoon-fed. And this goes way back even in college. There's spoon-fed notes and things like that. So those days you have to write your own notes. When the lecturer is talking, you write, and that's it. No, you don't get printed notes and all that after class.
Yes.
But before class. So I would say excellence is important. The other point is integrity. This is another pillar. Because there's nothing to be proud of if you have achieved success through an unethical or illegal or corrupt or way, shortcut way, or something where people cannot trust you. So integrity is very, very important. It's not emphasized enough. It's always just a cachet or a slogan, but actually to practice it is so important, because a lot of people want fast money. They want
Shortcut.
the shortcut. They're willing to do anything, and they're willing to pay people to get work and things like that. So integrity is important. You have to emphasize and enforce it in your own life. And this is something that well, it may not, if you don't have that integrity at the very start, it's very difficult for you to have it later on in life. Okay, so
Totally agree.
yeah, you have to guard your own heart, in that.
It's like a daily habit kind of thing.
It's a daily habit. It's not just a one-off or two-time thing or whatever. It's a daily thing.
Yeah.
And when you want to have integrity, there will be temptations to go shortcut. So the people will bring it up. You are in the real world. There will be some people who come and give you ideas and give you thoughts and all. You have to be careful, and you have to filter it. You know what I mean? So that is, I think, the first two things I would say to young people, to have that, considering that you may not come from the background. The second, I would say, is you probably need to have a vision for yourself. Maybe young people may not have a clear idea what they want or what they want to do. A lot of lawyers, especially the females, ladies, and many of them have the difficulty of, look, if they emphasize too much on their career, then they lose out on
balance.
They are, having time for their family, their spouse, for their husband or children, and then they become career, and then eventually they live in regret when they reach, say, 40 plus or 50. They realize that, goodness, I've lost out so much. But on the other hand, if they don't spend enough time in their career, after 5 years of practice, they give up. So I think it's more challenging for women than for men, in that sense, on how to manage that part of it. So in that sense, having a vision is important. Even for women, we always associate vision only for men, because they tend to be like the visionary people or the leaders or the ones who are up there. But actually, I would say it applies to women as well. You need to have a vision of what you want your life to be like. You can tell yourself, in 5 years, this is what I want to be, or 8 years or whatever, and this is how I want to go about it, so that you don't, you can manage it well according to your pace and your expectations. So I think having a vision, otherwise, you get pulled in different directions.
Got it. It's just like you do not know where you are leading to, and then you end up in the wrong direction. And when you know that, it's too late, because time has passed. Yeah.
Yes. So
Love that.
your 20s itself, you should already have this in your head. And a lot of people are in their 20s. I mean, their level of maturity is not there. So, which is true. I mean, no one can say they're fully matured at that age. But if you have a vision and you write it down and you have these ideas, and I would encourage journaling, honestly, when you write down things and all of that, you go back and then you can see, oh, this is how I've been moving, or this is where I could have. That helps a lot to keep you on track. And I think, I mean, it applies to both men and women, but I think men tend to have a little bit more ambition, but still, women are really women are in the majority now, and women are highly skilled and talented, and a lot of them have the ethic, So what I think would be a good thing is that you have a vision, you write it down, you get an idea of what you want. Otherwise, you'll be pulled in different directions. And then you will find that after 10 years or so, you are missing something in life. You know what I mean? And then something will take a backseat, or something will go wrong somewhere. Whether it's your marriage, whether it's your career. something will happen there. You get my point?
Yeah, I totally get it, because It's something like we all just need to know. We have to think about it. Although sometimes some of us we do not know what we want. At least we write that down. We just
Yes,
have a plan. I mean, there's a rough plan is better than no plan at all.
absolutely, absolutely. And nobody is. Sometimes you may have a big sister or big brother who you can talk to. Sometimes your parents. Sometimes a couple of good friends. But sometimes you got nobody. So you have to do it yourself. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
Yeah. Another thing I would say maybe is to read and write.
Mhm.
As a lawyer, I think we should read more and write. Find opportunities to write. Write articles, write, contribute in journals. Um, Maybe even if it's short case studies or whatever, find opportunities to get your name out there so that you are a published name, you know, and read, read a lot, because sometimes we don't read because so when we write, you're forced to read, you see.
Mm,
So it's not just about doing work in the office and all that, but also in your time, find time to do all this little writing, because at the end of the day, you are what you read and you are what you write, so if you write and you read, chances are you will have a self-discipline and you will be a published name, and people recognize you eventually and slowly, and you have some kind of motivation. So I would say reading and writing is essential for young people. All right. And I suppose your question really was, because we were an award-winning firm, and what are the top advice? I would say maybe the last point I would make on that would be to be bold.
okay. Be bold.
You must have some boldness. You must have boldness. When I say boldness, I'm talking about daring to act.
Mm,
The first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, said, "Success comes to those who are bold, and
mm,
rarely come to the timid who are afraid of the consequences."
mm,
So you need to have that boldness in you. You cannot be like scared, anxious, worried about, oh, what will happen if this, what will happen. Sometimes you just have to
take
uh,
actions.
take action. You can't be a spectator. You have to be in the game. You understand or not? You cannot be
Mm,
a spectator in the ring seats and just watching the game. You got to be in the game. You got to be a player in the game. So to do that, you got to be willing to act. You got to be bold. You got to know this is, I want to do this. I want to say this. I want to I want to take this risk. I want to take this action. And you got to be willing to take those kind of risks. So I would say that being bold is important. So in summary, strive for excellence.
mm.
Make sure that you have integrity, and that's a daily habit. It's a daily thing. I would say you should have a vision for yourself, you know, and write down that vision. Don't just think about it and then just make it a New Year resolution, but write it down. In fact, I
Just
would
make it
encourage.
on 31st December and that's all.
Yeah, correct. Journal it lah. Even you don't have to
Mm,
have a daily journal, but at least a weekly journal. Write it down. Maybe at the end of every week, you can write down what is it that this week, what have
mm,
you, what do you want to do next month or whatever. Just have that mind. Just have a simple habit like that, and then you should read and write. Contribute articles and things like that. Um, and be bold. You have all these ingredients. I think you should be able to to be successful. You should be able to be somewhere, be someone,
I
make an
love that.
impact. Yeah, make an impact.
And inspire others as well to do so. Because I
Yeah.
love the part that you mentioned about journaling, because journaling is really a process of putting your thoughts into
Yes.
writing format, and then later on we'll turn it into actions. So if let's say we just keep thinking about it, oh, that's my new resolution, nothing will actually crystallize at the end of the day. I really love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also a sense of self accountability.
Mm,
When you write down something and you realize you have not done it or this didn't happen, then you go back and ask yourself why. And then you realize that maybe I wasted too much time, you know. on this. Maybe I wasted too much time watching Netflix, or maybe I'm spending too much time with my friends, and I can cut it down by half or something like that. So it is a sense of self-accountability also. It's a reminder.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing all these awesome tips with us. So if let's say you've been loving this and you love to connect with Jeremy, so Jeremy, what is the best way to connect with you?
Well, I think that you can email me
All
at
right.
jeremy@jnplaw.my.
Okay.
And
We are going to edit it out and put it down below.
yes, I think that's the best way to just send me an email. All right.
So anyone who wants to connect with Jeremy, feel free to send him an email at the email that we put it in down below. And also, thank you so much, Jeremy, for spending your 30 minutes time to share so much of awesome tips with us. It's really our pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you very much to June and EasyLaw. Appreciate it very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Organization. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.